All right, folks, welcome aboard. Tuesday evening college recruiting, baseball, blue book in the house. We are here to talk about baseball, anything and everything baseball. I want to thank all the parents. First, I digress quickly. Eric Wubina. And Eric
Thank
has
you.
a Yankee hat on. I don't know why he chose to go with the Yankees, but maybe he's an Aaron Judge fan and he's wishing like heck that Aaron Judge would re-sign with the Yankees. But every Tuesday, Eric, myself, Walter Beede, we're gonna be here. It's gonna be streamed on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the whole 9 yards. Obviously, I just got in from a couple of meetings, so I'm not in my Sunday best, but obviously Eric is looking
He looks
sharp
good. You look
with
good, Walter.
with your blue book, nice long sleeve collared long sleeve shirt.
There you go.
But our purpose here is to answer questions. So at any time that you hear us say something tonight that you would like us to answer, we want to answer it. That's the whole point of us doing what we're doing. Thank you to the parents that went ahead and sent in some questions for Eric and I to discuss. And this is your process. I've lived it as a dad, as I've stated many times, lived it as a college coach, but the times are different. Today is much different than it used to be 10 years ago. And so Eric and I recognize that, and we want to provide you with access and information. Speaking of access, let's quickly digress to the Baseball Blue Book really quickly. I'm gonna shoot this over to you, Eric.
Okay.
I had a question about the Baseball Blue Book, and the question came in: why or what is the benefit for a student athlete to create a profile in the Blue Book? A lot of parents aren't familiar with the history of the Blue Book, so I'm hoping you can just take that initial question and kind of fill in the blank.
It's a great question, especially with all the social media platforms out there.
Exactly.
You know, the question that comes up with everybody that I talk to is, well, I got a Twitter account, I've got a Facebook account, I'm posting things out there. Couple of things, and we love social media because social media is how we network, how we connect, and we use it all the time. The problem is, where do you keep all of your stuff? Right? There's two things that the Baseball Blue Book does, and it comes from the history of the Baseball Blue Book. We've been the most comprehensive directory since 1909. So coaches and scouts and major league departments have been relying on us to provide contacts and information. And Walter always says it's access. We've always been providing the access to the coaches for people for over 100 years. And so what the Baseball Blue Book app has done, it really allows the players, your players, to build their own profile and have everything in one place. There's so many micro apps, the way I put it, out there, from Rapsodo to, there's tracker devices, there's all of this new technology, and everybody's got their own proprietary profile, so you can get your stat. We allow you to bring everything in one place. The coaches have a searchable and filterable way of finding things. A message to the coaches. I always ask them all the time, what, you use Twitter? And they said, absolutely. We're on it all day long. And the problem is you got to be on it at the right time when your player posts something, or it's very difficult to find it. So with what we do is we create filters and searches, and we take that data and we make it smart. And so it's easily accessible. It doesn't cost you anything. And you can start building your own profile. What we call is your resume, your baseball resume, from the very beginning all the way throughout your career. And that's really why you'd want to be in the Baseball Blue Book. We always encourage everybody to post everything. One of the things Walter, I appreciate you doing this. One thing that we're going to be releasing here very soon is a link. It will be a dedicated link for your profile that you'll be able to put out on Twitter and Facebook. So when you click on that link, it'll direct to your profile in the Baseball Blue Book. So great way of bringing everything into one place.
Well, I think what's really important for parents to understand is the key word there was free. So I want to make sure that parents understand nothing to buy here, nothing, we're selling zero.
Yep.
And the questions are coming in, and then I want to kind of delve back into those. But remember, one of the things that Eric just alluded to, which I think is really important, I get asked a lot about videos and how to send them and what to send them. That's what we're going to be doing as a whole, is to allow you insight, what to put in the video, how much of it to put on the video, when to send the video, but more importantly, put it in your profile. A coach stumbles upon you and they're looking in Indiana for left-handed pitchers, and boom, there you are. And so that is what the platform is all about. It's 100% baseball, and it's 100% baseball all the time.
Great point. And just for those that are wondering how the heck we make money, advertisers love this because guess what? They want to advertise to the people that want to buy their product. If you've got a batting glove to sell, it costs a lot of money to put it out on Twitter and use hashtags of baseball, because guess what? My mom likes baseball too, but she doesn't want to be advertised a batting glove, right?
And a batting glove.
And the vendor doesn't want to be advertising to her either. So they know that if you're in the Baseball Blue Book, you're a baseball guy, you're a baseball person. You are looking for the best products, the best services, the best trainers, the best advisors, the best schools, and the best events. Anything and everything baseball is in the Baseball Blue Book. So we appreciate you checking us out. You can go to baseballbluebook.com. You can just simply put in your cell phone number. We'll send you a text that will send you a link directly to download it, or you can just visit us at the Apple store, or Android, the Google Play store. So we're on both devices.
Okay, well, now we're going to hit the Q&A, the question and answer period. So Mr. Brian Allard has sent us a question. Best way to identify schools that over-recruit or have large rosters versus schools that have a normal roster size. Okay, so when all these questions come in, Eric, you can see them also right on the right-hand side of your screen.
I was looking at private chat, so thank you. Now I'm looking at it.
So
I got them.
Okay, so I have to wear reading glasses, so I apologize in advance. If you see me looking to my right, looking down, you might hear my little pup in the background. I have to read. I have to put my reading glasses on to do this. So, and I also want to preface when we begin to answer these. These are our opinions. These are our thoughts. From my perspective, I offer insight because I deal and interact with college coaches across the country every single day. And so I kind of have my finger on the direction of where things are going. So Brian, let's get to your question first. Best way to identify schools that might over-recruit or have large rosters. I want to point you in the direction of College Baseball Insights. Art over at that's a tremendous app that gives you information as to roster sizes, recruiting classes, recruiting class retention rates. That's the best place to go. That probably has the most up-to-date resources for parents, because really, how does a parent go from one school to the next? And how do they look at Division III schools and NAIA schools and kind of get an idea of where their college recruits come from, what states, how long do those students stay in school? Do they graduate? Those are the types of things that can tell you about the college baseball programs across the country. Educate yourself as parents. Also understand, this was a rule that I don't think a lot of parents know. As a matter of fact, I'd be willing to bet that a lot of recruiting services have no idea about this. Do you realize that in the fall, a college baseball program can have up to as many as 60 to 80 student athletes on a fall baseball roster? And when I tell this to parents, they're shocked. And what I want you to understand is the fall is pure tryout, be ready to compete, because those guys that show up in the fall prepared to compete for opportunities will be best served, because when you have walk-ons, transfers, upperclassmen returning, incoming fresh high school freshman recruits, I have a lot of people that all want the same thing that you do. So gather the information from the Baseball Insight website or the Baseball Insight app. You can go on and look at fall rosters, although most of them have changed. And you can go in and look at spring rosters. And you could kind of compare the spring roster in 22-23 to the spring roster in 21-22. And you can look at the freshmen and sophomores from 21-22 Are they still on the team in 22-23? That's a good indication of the turnovers that are occurring. And Brian, thank you for that. So I don't know if you can read Cindy's question there, Eric.
Yeah, I can.
I think it goes to your point with regard to.
Yeah, I think, Cindy, I think, you know what, that's a great question. How often? Well, as often as you can in Twitter, because as you know, when you're on Twitter, depending on how many people you follow, it can be 100, 200 tweets are hitting your feed every single minute. And coaches are seeing the same thing. They're following people from all over the country. I post as much as you can. I think this call carries right over to Coleman's question as well. And what does the Blue Book differ from NCSA, sports recruits and field level? Well, simply, NCSA they all provide some free services, but it's all a database. You guys are providing them a database for them to call you to offer services that cost between $500 and $3,000 to help get recruited. What we're trying to do here is self-serve. You guys, we're going to give you all the information that you need and all the access that you need, and really try to help you guys do this, because it's word of mouth. Their networks are tight. They maybe have some good guys that can help you do it, but it comes down to playing an opportunity. The other thing is the sports recruits in the field level specifically. There are a whole lot of other sports. Again, you get kind of lost in the shuffle of everything else. We're baseball all the time. A couple of those have been around a while. We've been around for 120 years, but the app itself has been, we're really building onto it. So we're going to have a lot of the features that they have. So, stay with us. We're going to be providing a lot of the things, but again, it depends on what you want. If you want to pay for a recruiter, some of those services are okay. We don't do that. That's not what we do. We try to help you guys and give you the information that you need. And then we also have Walter and some other guys like Walter that are helping do evaluations and help kids through the process. That's what we're doing. That's the whole thing with our podcast and our live streams, and everything we do is try to help you guys do this on your own, and provide you the information that you need.
I'm going to expand on that a little bit and just let you know that when you submit a video for Baseball Bluebook, we're going to have these types of interactions all year, and we're going to have a couple of these events where you submit your video while we're talking. I kind of break it down, give you some thoughts or some tips as far as how to polish up that video. And then I'll kind of point you in the right direction as to what college coaches you might want to send that video off to. The whole thing that we're doing now is we're creating access from a college coach's perspective to student athletes, and student athletes and parents directly to the college coaches. It's no different than what I think is the biggest difference is that when we're only a baseball app, all that people are going to be doing on that is talking, sharing, looking for baseball related topics and videos and so forth. Yep. We're going to try to match you up as best we can with regard to younger players, with whether it's travel organizations or college programs, et cetera. And so that's a big difference, in my opinion. Some of these companies charge you $2,500, as much as $7,500. We're going to do this for free. We're going to continue to do it for free for as long as we do it. And our number one goal is to provide information, education, and access for parents to be able to take the stress away from this entire process. Let's see, Brian. Hello, Boston, by the way. And I love Boston because I live in Boston. So Boston Allard, that name always sticks with me. Verbally commit. After player verbally commits, how does the interaction with coaches work? Example, a 2026 commits verbally, then what happens? Does the player talk to the coaches via the phone? How does that go?
Good question.
Well, this is a great question, and it's a question that's often very misunderstood. First of all, the only classes that a college coach can currently talk to today, meaning return a phone call, is the class of 2023 and the class of 2024. If you are a 2025, 2026, it hurts me to say class of 2027, a college coach cannot return a call, cannot return an email. There's standard forms, they can talk to you about camps, upcoming camps, etc., but there can be no active dialogue. And so if you're a 2026 and for some reason you've made a commitment to college, first of all, understand two things. It's verbal only. There is no binding agreement either between the school to you or the you to the school. So in theory, it's all just a one good, hopeful, celebration in 4 years. There's really nothing concrete there. I can tell you a lot of things change in 4 years. College coaches change, rosters change. There's going to be a lot of change within college baseball. You can bet me that. I'll tell you right now, 2026, the world of college baseball will look vastly different at all levels by that time. And we'll go into that on future dates. But there cannot be any active dialogue between a 2026 and a college coach. There can be no phone calls exchanged back and forth. Social media, they're allowed to join us on our Tuesdays and Thursday calls and respond directly to questions that are submitted on social media. They can follow you. They can watch go into your profile. They have some contact that's available through the guidelines of social media. But it's a misunderstood point. There is not a lot of freedom of dialogue between student athletes and coaches unless they are a current senior or junior, which is past the September 1st time period as a junior in high school. September 1st of your junior year, entering into your junior year, you can begin to get calls. Your senior year is when official visits can be taken and things of that nature, and there's open dialogue consistently.
Hey, Walter, is that different at the different levels, or is that an NCAA rule? Is it different for JUCOs and NAIA schools?
NAIA, you can actually go on their campus and try out. You can actually go to an NAIA school and try out. The coach can take you out to the field and work you out.
Yep.
The NAIA is a totally different animal than the NCAA. As far as communication is concerned, slightly similar to the NCAA. College coaches in the NAIA are probably still more focused in on the 23s and 24s. They're going to communicate via email. The NAIA has become, when we talk about schools like Lewis and Clark, Lee University, Georgia Gwinnett, these national mega powerhouse NAIA schools, one, they're every bit as strong as an NCAA Division I school. The issue, as is the case in most divisions, is depth of position players, depth of, more importantly, pitchers. But NAIA has become a very, very viable 4-year program, not only for MLB draft purposes, but for quality and caliber of play.
Absolutely.
They also have great financial aid packages.
Yep.
If you're a good academic, you can get yourself a heck of a lot more money at an NAIA school. A lot of JUCO students now are transferring into NAIA schools.
Hey, and just another plug. Go get your profile, go to the directory, do a sort based on your state and the level of play, and you'll be able to see all the schools right there in your state or surrounding states. You'll be surprised on how many schools there are that have baseball programs at all of these levels. I think people are very surprised when they start digging in and looking at what's out there.
And that's all the more reason to create a profile put some videos in there. Let me take a look, say hello, wave, all that good stuff, and let us know that you're on the app, and we'll absolutely help you.
Yep.
Cindy Moberley again. Could we use the evaluation? How do we use to evaluate our son? He's in the Charlotte area. As to what level they think their potential could be. So I'm going to paraphrase. How do college coaches look at a video, or how do we at the Blue Book look at the video, evaluate, and kind of point you in the right direction as far as college level or the future destination or level that you can play? And so this is always a question that is near and dear to my heart, because numbers aren't discussed enough. And numbers are incredibly important when we're talking about recruiting at the college baseball level. So I want parents to understand NCAA Division I, currently 12,000. And that 12,000 represents a 40-man roster currently for over slightly, I think it's 303 NCAA Division I schools. So that's where we get that 12,000 number. When they go back to 35-man rosters, which is, I believe, is coming in 2023, that means you go back down to about 10,500. So that represents about 2% of the high school players across the country that will ultimately play NCAA Division I baseball. 2%. Collectively, as a whole, college baseball, junior college level, NAIA level, NCAA level, slightly over 45,000. And there's some other divisions, smaller level colleges. So approximately 60,000 student athletes will become part of a college roster. That represents 10% of the total cumulative total of student athletes playing high school baseball. So there's not enough chairs for those that desire to go and play college when the music stops. Not enough people tell you that. Not enough people share that information with parents. You have to begin to understand the difficulty and how hard and how challenging a roster spot at the college level actually is. And so your level should not be driven by, I have to be at the game's highest level. You have to think about college as a 40-year decision and not a 4-year decision. This isn't about baseball. This is more about your future and your future family's future as a future spouse and a future parent. So if you're a college student athlete and we're considering college, and I know I sound like a broken record, but what type of city do you want to live in? Do you want to be in a major metropolitan city? Do you want to live in a rural kind of suburban area? Do you want a big school or a small school? Do you want to hunt and fish, or do you want to be in a very festive, aggressive, fast-paced world? Do you want to learn a specific area of academic interest? For instance, some schools may not have engineering. Some schools may not have medical, chemistry, biology, etc. And so when you're looking at schools, you don't want to just look at the baseball. Obviously, you want to look at the academic and the other areas. As far as what level you can possibly play, I'm going to put this out there for parents because I'm giving it away free. On Twitter, I'm giving a free copy for the next 48 hours of the recruiting process. And within the recruiting process, I have all of the metrics that kind of walk you through what qualifications or caliber an athlete is in NCAA Division III, Division II, Division I. What do NAIA schools look at the Division I and Division II level? And so that can you can look down and say, okay, this is where I'm at. So these are the types of schools that I should begin to focus in on and try to look up and kind of be aware of. But how are you going to know how to contact these schools? Bluebook, Bluebook, Bluebook. That's the directory that you go to. So, Cindy, I hope that helps, and I hope it points you. I know I have heard you talk about getting someone to evaluate. Okay, here's how you're going to get your evaluation. Another great question. Okay, who's going to give me an honest evaluation of where your son potentially fits? Current high school coach is going to give you an honest evaluation. Former college player, former college coach, former professional player, former professional coach or scout. Try to find, you can, in today's world, you can go onto the Blue Book and find somebody in your area that's a former scout or coach. You can go on Facebook. You can ask on Facebook, hey, I'm looking in the general Charlotte area. Is there anybody that used to be a college baseball player or college coach that could evaluate my son or evaluate my son's video? Just ask. Obviously, I'm happy to help. That's what I've been doing a lot of my mornings is getting video and breaking it down. But here's the number one thing I want to let parents understand. Sometimes you don't like what I say. And I'm very cautious and very guarded with how I respond because when I see a video, I know that boy is giving everything he has. And for me to try to tell a parent, you might not have the ability to play at that level. Right now, you fit at Division III level or a junior college level or that type of level. Not an insult. It's not bad. It's just truth. And you need the truth. You need to understand where you're at so that you can get better. and recognize this. I know, Eric, do you remember a guy by the name of Mike Piazza?
Yep. Mets. I need to go grab my headset.
Right. And worked out pretty well for, would you say Mike had a pretty good career?
I think, yeah. And I think he was at you're going to tell us what school he went to, right?
I'm going to tell you that he was a 62nd round
Yeah.
pick by the Los Angeles Dodgers as a favor to Tommy Lasorda. If you're a 62nd round draft pick, chances are no team thinks you're going to be A, big leaguer, or B, a Hall of Famer. No way. But yet here he was, didn't have a lot of college scholarship opportunities, was a 62nd round draft pick, ended up being a Hall of Famer. My point to telling you this is not that your son is going to be Mike Piazza. My point is, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. So if you don't get the truth, you won't know where to start. And that's what we have to do collectively as a whole, both as Blue Book and as evaluators and people helpful within the industry for high school and youth student athletes. We have to give you the truth, and we have to provide you with a game plan, and that's our hope there. And Cindy is, let's see, I want the truth. We are not wasting our time. All you have to do is, here's what you're going to do, Cindy. You're going to go put a profile on Blue Book. Make sure you give me the profile name, whether it's your son's name or I guess they call it handle, whatever that is. I'll go in there. I'll make sure I see the video, and I'll give you some thoughts. And it's just, and I can, Eric, can I send them a direct message or a private message? Okay.
Yeah. Yep. You guys, there's DM in there. Yep.
Okay. So I will definitely send you a in confidence, direct message. So it's private, and I'm not certainly going to put it out there for the masses.
Yep. And by the way, just so everybody knows, Mike Piazza went to a JUCO as well, just so you guys know.
What JUCO did he go to?
Miami-Dade College.
Oh, that was Tommy Lasorda's buddy too. So you know who that was at the time. I don't know if people know who Paul Maneri is, former Notre Dame and LSU coach.
Yep.
Well, Paul's father was the head coach at Miami-Dade, who was good friends with Tommy Lasorda. And Mike's dad was a car dealer in Pennsylvania, and they all knew each other because they are all what we call paisan. Let's see. So now I'm getting more great questions here that are coming in. So here's one that somebody wants me to answer. When you contact a college coach via email, what besides a video should you send to the college coach? So the answer to this question is I've seen lots of people create these forms with a boatload of information, and college coaches just want to literally, they go through thousands of emails.
Yep. So
here's my tip. We now live in a world where you can take a video from your phone. So instead of writing down, your GPA, where you live, what you're good at, what your major you want for me, how about making a 1 minute to 90-second video, personally introducing yourself to the college coach, letting them know why you feel their university is going to help you with regard to your future as far as academics, socially, culturally, how you feel you can help their program. Don't tell coaches what you've done or what your accomplishments have been.
Great point.
Tell college coaches what you hope to do to help their university, both in the classroom as far as in the town and in the community, but also how you're going to help their program become more successful. College coaches, they see you taking the time to send a personal video where you know their name, you've pronounced it correctly, you know members of the coaching staff. Here's a novel concept. Know the conference that the team plays in. Have an understanding of who they play on their schedule. I had one guy send an email to a coach. He took my advice. He sent the video. The coach's first name was Bruce, called him Robert. They were in a conference that began with a C. He used a conference that began with a D. So the coach doesn't take you very seriously there. So that tip will get you more feedback and more responses by introducing yourself. Something like this. Hello, Coach Corbin. My name is Walter Beede, and I'm currently living in Salisbury, Massachusetts. I'm a member of the class of 2025. I've done a lot of homework with regard to Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee. I feel that the city of Nashville, as well as the university at Vanderbilt, is going to allow me to not only further my academic career and interests within the medical profession, as I hope to be a kinesiologist and a physical therapist. I also feel that the community of the West End of Nashville is conducive to areas of study. I recognize the art and the museums that are located within a mile of campus. I also feel that my skill sets fit the University of Vanderbilt with regard to being an infielder that can help bring Vanderbilt prominence and stature within the Southeastern Conference. My hope is that I am able to play a part and a role within leading a team back to Omaha and winning a national championship. If you do something like that, and that literally took me 30 seconds, 45 seconds, Coach Corbin's getting back to you, I can promise you. So don't put an email in a lot of words. Give them something that they can watch, listen, and hear, and they're going to respond. Wow, we're getting a lot of questions here.
You know, to add to that, Walter, I think, I do the Baseball Bluebook podcast. You guys can find it on Apple and Spotify, but it's just a podcast I do. I interview a lot of coaches from all levels. And I do it a little bit different than Walter. I just talk about kind of their baseball journey of how they got into coaching and what's important to them, and then a little bit about their program. And one of the things that I'm very, it's not a surprise, but it's something that I think you guys need to understand. They really are concerned about what your academic goals are. Have you looked at what you want to do? Have you looked into their program? The last thing you want your son to do is want to go to a school that doesn't have the major that they want to go into, right? That shows that they haven't done their research, right? I want to be in the medical profession, but there's no medical profession degrees at that school. It could be one I just interviewed. It was pretty funny. It was a coach, and he said he wanted to be in law enforcement. And the school that he went to when he was being recruited, they didn't have anything in that, and he had no idea. So he kind of laughed. But it's important because it's a student athlete. Student is first, and it is with these coaches. The coaches want to win between the lines, but they also are there to prepare your son for the future. And they know the odds of making it to the majors. They know it's I think Walter talked about it last week. It was less than 2% of the NCAA Division I. So you've got to be prepared and understand what your son wants to do beyond baseball. That's important.
Well, I when I talk to parents about Major League Baseball, if it's a minor miracle to play Major League Baseball. And so think about this for a second. Every year there's a Major League draft, and I listen to it faithfully. Now we get to watch it on television. If the SEC and the ACC and the Pac-12 and the Big 12 and the Big 10 were so great in the eyes of professional baseball, then it would make sense that every player that was drafted would be from those programs. But in fact, a lot of student athletes are drafted from Division II. They're drafted from junior college. They're drafted from NAIA schools. They're drafted from Division III schools. So my point is that if you look at the professional baseball landscape, there are players from all over the world, from all walks of life. But here in the United States and Canada, they're from schools that you may have never heard of.
Yep.
And nobody was recruiting that young man, but he showed up on campus and he became not only a better person, but a better baseball player. And he was given an opportunity to play at the professional level. So don't worry about your destination. Focus on your journey. This is your journey. And I have a question here, Eric, that I really want to answer because it's really important. It has to do with the transfer portal. I mean, I'm sure when you're talking to coaches, that's always at the top of their list as well. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's changed the dynamics a bit. You might want we got a bot in here.
Yeah,
dating.
I did it. So here's the question: the transfer portal, and I want to bring this to parents' attention. And I'm hoping that whenever you find your way to this video, you hear what I'm about to say. The transfer portal has changed because travel baseball made it change. And you might be scratching your head saying, what does travel baseball have to do with the NCAA? Well, I'm going to tell you. Over the last 10 to 15 years, the explosion of travel baseball has created this customer service mentality. More importantly, ROI, return on investment. Parents are expecting an ROI because they're spending money to play for their child to play baseball. Therefore, they are asking, or in some cases demanding, two things: customer service and return on investment. I don't like what I'm getting here. I'm going to take my bat and ball and I'm going to go over there and I'm going to play on that team. I'm going to play on that program. Or you get a call in the middle of the season. Hey, listen, we're Elite Prime Prospect USA and you got to come play for us. And your program stinks and we're all Americans left and right. And so you get into this thought process that I can just go over there and play. And they're going to help me get bigger and better. And they're going to help me get more exposure. Now you go to campus and you show up in a college and you thought, well, you were the big man on campus. You know, I'm going to play right away. And suddenly you look around, there's 65 guys competing and you're one of the 65. So what do? Where's the customer service? Where's my return on investment? I got a scholarship. Sorry, that's not how college baseball works because A, those coaches are paid to win. B, you're now part of a program. You're part of a team. And so NCAA finally relented and said, if we have all these unhappy people, let's give them an opportunity to leave in the fall, to leave in the spring, or leave right before or after the major league draft. So you basically have 2 or 3 opportunities. So now the travel ball mentality has made its way into the NCAA because the NCAA, as evidenced by the image and likeness, they don't want anybody to be upset. They want to give parents and student athletes all the options and flexibility that they allow their college coaches to do. And so what happens is parents, student athletes, I don't like what I'm getting from this college. I'm going to transfer. Have you looked into the transfer portal? I'm doing a new book and I just did some research. Do you realize that a lot of these student athletes that transfer out of Division I, they don't end up back in Division I. In some cases, they don't even end up on a college roster. My point is the transfer portal is nothing more than an extension of the mentality of the families and student athletes that play travel baseball. Do not get consumed when things aren't going your way and adversity hits. Don't run. Find out where your weakness is. Find out why you're not having success. Find a way to become better, not bitter. Become better and not bitter. That's the answer to the transfer portal.
Great
and by the way, Eric, do you know how many student athletes have entered the transfer portal over the last 10 days?
I don't know 10 days. I knew what it was before that, but how many?
Well, how many was it before that?
I think it was it over? I don't know. I don't want 2,000.
It was over 2,000.
Yeah.
And now it's approaching about 3,000 student athletes.
Okay.
And parents are trying to say, well, I'm at Division III. That's not going to affect me. Yes, it is. Let me tell you how.
Yep.
If you go to a junior college or an NCAA Division III college and you're in an area and you think you're safe, if Division I student athlete, and I know one that got transferred out of University of Texas, well, he ended up at Washington and Lee, at Division III school down in Virginia. Okay, so how would you like to be the kid at Washington and Lee? You're at this NCAA Division III school. You think, well, okay, I made the team, and then here comes a guy from University of Texas. Here comes a guy from James Madison. Here comes a guy from Richmond. The portal is no different than what you're experiencing within travel baseball, only now there's more of a format and more of a methodology. Instead of you controlling it, the NCAA controls it. And that's a story for a whole different day. But trust me on this, you don't want to be a part of the transfer portal. Let's see. Coleman Wiley. Here, the best way to get in front of a college coaches is to get to their school's prospect camps. But these cost $100 to $300, making it financially challenging. Let's see. What are the expectations for coaches, and do they expect you to do these camps? Okay. This is a question that comes in often. Showcases versus camps. Okay, a college coach cannot have any conversation with an underclassman And college coaches do these camps. Yes, they are, in fact, trying to raise money for their volunteer assistants, as well as their baseball programs and their travel expenses and their food expenses. So, yes, camps are generating money. But over and above a showcase is kind of like you put through a workout. A camp, you're getting instruction. You're learning skill sets. You're learning drill work. You're learning how college coaches interact with student athletes. Big, big difference. If you have a college locally that doesn't require either an overnight stay or a flight, those college camps are well worth the money. I will always tell families, your investment in a camp is well worth it because the return on that investment is this. I had a young man that I sent to the University of Richmond from Massachusetts about 4 weeks ago. He wanted to play baseball at Richmond. He went to their camp and he did exceptionally well. No room at the inn at Richmond, but guess who was there? Bates. Bates is part of the NESCAT. They're arguably one of the top 20 schools or universities in the country. And he was able to not only get into Bates, but get some money, financial assistance, and playing time opportunities to play at Bates. So my point is, at camp, you might go to let's say a UVA camp, and a college coach at Washington and Lee or something in the area that's a high-level academic school, and they're looking for quality athletes. Well, they know if somebody's going to attend a UVA camp, they must have some academic prowess and they must have some athletic ability. So they're going to go there and work the camp. They see a student. They see Tyler Beede. Hey, he's not quite UVA material, but he might be great for Washington and Lee. I'm just using the names of these schools, but hypothetically, by the way. So my point is you have a much better return on your investment with regard to a college camp than you do at a showcase, because a showcase, you're going to be in with approximately 50 to as many as 300 student athletes. A college coach is going to struggle to find someone that doesn't jump out at them. Whereas at a camp, you have an opportunity to get a longer look, more high quality instruction, listen to how the coach communicates, get a feel for the campus, get a feel for the staff. And I think that's critical when you're trying to select a college. So Eric, when you talk to your college coaches on your podcast, especially the guys that are at the Division III level, the Division II level, when they talk about camps, how often do they do their camps, and what are they looking for when they're doing their camps in a student athlete?
No, it's a good question. I think I'll answer it kind of take a step back. A lot of these coaches, and I mentioned it earlier, a lot of these coaches talk about academics. Baseball is different than football, right? There's not a lot of money involved in baseball. Even if you make it to D1, there's only 11 point, how many scholarships, Walter?
11.7.
There's only 11.7 scholarships. So not only is there very few people that are making it to these Division I schools, the number of kids that are even making it and getting money is even more remote. And so they constantly push academics. And I love Coleman's question as far as, do coaches look at this and make a determination? No, they don't necessarily do that, but they always encourage you to come, because if you're interested in their school, the overall school, it has the academics, it has the campus life, it has the location, the other things that I'll tell you, it seems like it's like almost like a broken record with these coaches. They're saying the same thing. They say focus on what your student wants long term. What are they interested in? And go through all of those things. And then you can weed through a lot of them to find the ones that you want, and then go and pick a couple of the camps, because the camps are good. Because here's the one thing that they say: you're going to see how the coach runs their practice. You're going to see their philosophy. You're going to see how they run their program. And it may not fit with what your son wants. And so it's a great way to evaluate the coach. There's evaluation both ways. And I think coaches appreciate that. You've got to evaluate these coaches and how they run their programs and how they do it, what they want. That's why I actually encourage people to listen to it. They're 30 to 40 minutes, man. And it's all it is just the coach talking about what they expect, what they're like. And I think that's really the most important thing. So I wouldn't say go find as many prospect camps that you can go to and pay as much as you can. Weed it through. do your research, find out really what you want, and ask your sons some tough questions. What do they really want? And most of them won't know. So you can help guide them. Do they like outdoors? Do they like to be in the city? Do they like having big and lots of, some of these schools are so remote that there's nothing around. Others, it's a 45-minute drive to a big city. So there's a lot of things to consider before you start dropping that $100 to $300 to prospect camps to get noticed. That's probably not the reason to do it.
And I agree wholeheartedly with Eric and all the coaches' feedback. I think this is great information that you'll always be able to come back to on the videos and so forth and find over on the Blue Book. I have a couple of people that are asking me about reclassification, one via Twitter and Cindy here on our stream. I want to talk about reclassification, but I want to do it properly. First of all, I want to let parents know to just reclassify for athletic purposes. I'm not a fan of that at all because I don't think you're delaying the inevitable. If you feel that your son is young for his grade, if you feel that the physical maturation is going to come and it's going to develop and you might need an extra year for that to happen. The other part of this is called postgraduate. Reclassifying occurs generally between the 8th grade year and the sophomore year in high school. Some high schools at the public school level will not allow you to reclassify. You have 4 years for high school athletics. And also a lot of states, some states have age requirements. You can't turn 19 by a certain date. You certainly can't turn 20 by a certain date. So reclassification, if you're doing it to delay the inevitable, not a good idea. If you're doing it because either there's an academic need, physical growth need, physical maturation because a student is young. Tyler, my youngest son, graduated high school. He was 17 years old. In hindsight, I wish I would have done a postgraduate year, or he wishes he would have done a postgraduate year. A lot of parents have a misunderstanding of what postgraduate school versus reclassification. So let me explain the two. Reclassification occurs while you're actually in school prior to your junior year of high school. You could be moving, you could be relocating to a different state. You could have an academic area where you need that extra year, or it's been suggested to you as a parent that your student athlete would benefit academically for an extra year. They used to call it holding student athletes back or students back. It doesn't really happen that much in today's world. But now let me turn towards the postgraduate. Postgraduate is two types of postgraduate schools. One is purely a baseball. We have skills or scouts with Roger Wilkinson. There's a Chattanooga. There's a Texas postgrad school. There's a great one out in Arizona. And those programs are postgraduate years, what we used to call gap years, where in between high school and the freshman year in college. And those are skill development orientated postgraduate schools. More baseball, less academics. I guess in some cases where you're looking to put on some size, some strength, which is what every single college coach is basically screaming at the top of the mountain. If you show up on our campus, you better be physically ready to compete because you're competing against men. So that's that type of postgraduate school. The other one that I tend to point parents and student athletes in this direction. I always tell parents, academic excellence is what you're chasing. It doesn't mean your son has to go to Harvard. It means that if your son is a B student, but with the help of baseball, he can go to a really high-end academic university or college, and because he's an athlete, they'll help him get admissions into that school. That's a tremendous trade-off and benefit. And so postgraduate schools that are both athletically and academically going to challenge your son and benefit your student athlete with regard to admissions process at some of these higher level academic universities and colleges, tremendously beneficial. I always throw these names out there. I live in the Boston area. You can look at whatever part of your country is. Phillips Andover, Phillips Exeter, the Winchendon School, the Salisbury School, You could have Avon Old Farm, the Salisbury School. They're very prevalent in the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic East Coast area. I think Billy Wagner, the should-be Hall of Famer left-handed pitcher, coaches at a postgraduate school down in Virginia. But if you can combine getting academic excellence and athletic excellence in a post-grad year, I'm a huge proponent of that, because in the world of college baseball today, it is now a 20 to 23-year-old age group. And when an 18-year-old steps into a locker room of men, it's extremely intimidating. So from a postgraduate perspective, from a life perspective, away from baseball, postgraduate opportunity is a tremendous, tremendous benefit for the betterment of your child for decades, not just 4 years of college. Let's see. It sounds expensive. Okay, so I'm going to tell you something, and this is what you don't hear. Are they expensive? Yes. As a matter of fact, Phillips Andover is $80,000 a year to attend for 1 year. But these that I'm alluding and referring to, these types of postgraduate schools have tremendous endowments that rival that of Harvard and Yale. I mean, these are schools that have been around for centuries, not years, centuries. And they want students that are going to enhance their academic profile and their athletic profile. Why? And I get asked this a lot. Tyler Beede gave Lawrence Academy over 36 million impressions during his junior year in high school. Now, I want you to think about that for a second. If I'm a prep school or I'm a boarding school and I get 36 million impressions, somebody's looking at my school and creating an awareness. And Eric, I think you can speak to what impressions mean and what that's all about. There's value there for these schools with regard to bringing in good quality caliber student athletes.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it actually goes back to the academic side, right? I mean, post-grad is all academics. These kids are finding what they want to do. They've got high GPAs. They've got a lot to offer. And baseball is just one of those additional things that they can bring to the table. So I think that, you know, I'm just going to throw this out. We just talked about, I was on the phone today interviewing a community college coach in Iowa. It was Iowa Lakes Community College. He is from Puerto Rico, the head coach. He started his career in the majors. He's pitching coach, BP coach, dugout coach for the Cubs, the Phillies, number of these. He is a junior college coach with kids all over the country coming to his school. And Iowa Lakes cost about $1,500 a semester to go to. So if you're looking for really good quality coaching, you can go anywhere. Right. You have to look at the academics of what you want, what your son wants to do from an academic perspective, because if it's to play ball, there's a lot of places that have a lot of great coaches that have a lot of experience and networking and all the things that you could go with. And then they could find you another, four-year program as well. So again, I keep saying that, but academics is really, really, really important.
Well, I want to tell parents, my background, I've been doing this for 35 years. And one of the things that I often will tell parents is this: to go to any 4-year university or college is a substantial investment, and we all know about the discussion surrounding the topic of student debt. Let me just share with you and kind of expand Eric's point. When you go to a junior college, community college, call it what you will, you're significantly saving, whether it's your son or yourself, large amounts of money, because the first 2 years of college at any school or university are all pretty much the same. You're not really working within your projected major. You're taking the foundation of English, math, science, language, those types of courses that are the same for the most part, but it's the dollar per credit where you're saving money. So Eric just alluded to a school in Iowa. I have boys that are from Louisiana and Boston that have gone to schools in Iowa, in the Midwest, in Oklahoma, that have gone to junior college, and they've ended up at big 4-year schools.
Absolutely.
So rather than just go try to bang your brains out against the wall at a 4-year school, you go to a JUCO, you get great coaching, you save a lot of money, and you end up at the same place, which is getting between the lines your junior and senior year when it matters, when your maturation, your body and your mind sync up at the age of 20. There's a young man that I know his dad or his mom is watching from New York. And when that little boy, he's not little anymore. I just saw a picture of him today. I used to say to him, the only thing you need to do is eat and lift. Don't do another thing. The world is going to be your oyster when you're a junior and senior in high school. And he was only in the 8th grade. Well, now I look at him and he's towering and he's, Hollywood handsome kid. But he lives in this really cold area of the country and he wants to go to school all the way down in the South. He's not paying a lot of money to go to showcases. He's not chasing the rabbits all over the country. He's taking care of business in the classroom. He's taking care of business in the weight room, at the dinner table, at the breakfast table. Those are the things that matter. That's the rabbit to chase. Don't chase all these camps, showcases when you're an 8th grader or 9th grader, because a little insight, I think I said this last week, Eric, but in 2023, the NCAA is going to adopt a recruiting timeline. You will not be able to commit 8th grade, 9th grade, sophomore year. You'll have to wait until your junior year, which is what I think it should be. Yep. Follow suit of soccer and lacrosse and softball. So don't chase these rabbits. Don't fall victim to the fear that is spread that creates this massive panic so that you're trying to spend money chasing these rabbits all over the place.
No, absolutely. And one last point of that is, and a lot of people don't know this, in junior colleges, community colleges, they can play an extended fall league or fall season. So they're playing 30 games in the fall. You can't do that in NCAA. And so from just the point of the number of games and playing in a showcase versus playing in a junior college, you're playing with men, you're playing with a level that you will not see at any showcase or any travel ball team or anything else. These community colleges, they've got some pretty awesome programs. So again, I'm not getting paid by any junior colleges. It's pretty amazing listening to these guys and the talent that they've got from a coaching perspective. It's just another avenue that you need to really consider. And back to academics all the time.
And I want to make sure I tell people we only want to go about 60 minutes. We're not trying to bore you so that you get a brain freeze in any way. I do want to let Steel City Domer know. I think
is that a Pittsburgh? Is that a Pirate guy?
That's a Pirate guy. So even though I got my Pirate hat on, but my heart, I love Pittsburgh. There's no set grade, but I wouldn't do anything where you're spending time, money, resources, etc., with regard to the showcase circuit, i.e. tournaments, until you're a sophomore in high school, going into your junior year, because college baseball coaches know the upcoming rule change, and they're not going to be chasing these 8th graders. They'll be aware of them, but they're not going to be actively recruiting. And so I want to thank everybody, because I got a whole bunch of Twitter messages. We got a whole bunch of great questions here. We're building on last week, Eric. I think it's safe to say we're kind of building an audience here. And I want to let people know a couple things. We do this. Eric and I do this hopefully every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern time. It's free. We just want to answer your questions. There's no ulterior motive. That's number one. Number two is you can reach Eric over at the Blue Book directly. Eric, why don't you give out your podcast information and all that good stuff? So
it's we are BSBL Ball Blue Book. I'm sorry, on Twitter. Twitter has one less character than every place else, so I can't put Baseball Blue Book. So it's BSLB Blue Book. At Twitter, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. But I encourage everybody, even if you're a parent, even if you're a kid, 8, 9, 10, 12, all the way up, build a profile. You can DM me at Eric Wobanaw. I am the president of Baseball Blue Book. You can DM me. You can ask me any questions, again, about the app or about any of this. And then I'm at Eric at baseballbluebook.com if you just want to email me. And then the podcast, We have one on YouTube, but Walter's kind of doing that on the YouTube side. Mine's all on the Apple Podcast and Spotify. It's just called the Baseball Bluebook Podcast. We do between 3 and 4 coaches every single week. And it's like I said, I did community colleges this week. Last week I had the Penn State's coach on. I've had all levels, and there's no difference in their commitment to the players. There's no different in the commitment to winning and academic excellence. I would encourage it just to get an idea. If there's a school that you see on there that you might have been you're thinking about, listen to the coach. He does a great job of just talking his program and what he's all about. So thank you, guys.
And that's Eric. And I just want to let parents know every Tuesday we're here. Every Thursday I'm here. Eric's on the sidelines probably listening or watching. But every Thursday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern time, this week's guest is Eric Bakich, head coach of Clemson University.
Great guy.
The week after that, we're going to hopefully have Craig Noto on from Wagner University. Have some special guests coming up from Nashville during the ABCA events. And so Thursdays is all about college coaches answering your questions. And we talk about the landscape, the upcoming changes, what they look for. We try to make sure that we get you as much information, as much access to these coaches as possible. That's my responsibility with regard to the Blue Book. You can follow me at both Twitter and TikTok, Baseball Lifer 11. Over at YouTube, it's just Baseball Lifer. Would really love to add to my subscribers. I'm really working hard. Eric's really working hard. We're really working hard to just load that up with video library content that parents can go to and hear directly from the coaches or directly from the athletes, major league athletes, college athletes, high school athletes. And so that you can kind of use that information to make your sons or your student athletes process go a little bit smoother. So again, until next week, same time, I want to say thank you to Eric. Thank you to everybody that took the time. This has been great. Be sure and join us on Thursday evenings. This week again is Eric Bakich from Clemson. Thank you, everybody, tonight, and look forward to seeing everybody over at the channel on Thursday. Thanks,
Thanks,
Eric.
guys. Take care, Walter. Bye.